All right, hello and welcome to the Hammond Hills Grand Prix, sponsored by all these wonderful companies: Discraft, Great Lakes Discs, Wolfpack Disc, and 616 Graphics. Super excited to be here at Hammond Hills, one of my checklist courses to cover. My name is Zach O'Hare, and I'll be doing commentary along with Donut. How you doing, Donut?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Super excited. Let's see who's on the card here. We have Willie Prince starting us off. We've seen him on the channel quite a few times. Quite the scorer himself. Excited to see him again.
Kolby Kempker out of Hudsonville. This dude's got a ton of backhand power.
Yeah, he's a big thrower here. Got Carl. We saw him at JC Park earlier this year, playing pretty well there as well. He's a good forehand, which is good for this course.
And Nick Gill, born with a disc in his hand, out of Wyoming, Michigan.
Good to see him back in the local scene after an injury, so it's good to see him competing and getting better. Here we have hole 1, 260 feet, 79 meters, par 3. This course has been changed to the super long, so if you've ever played here before, this might be a little different than what you've seen. Basket's located here on the right side rather than straight, so you kind of need something that will fade to the right there a little bit. Forehand will be the common play, I imagine.
Yeah, I like this course a lot. They change it every month, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then the super longs is only, as I understand, one hole different than the longs. There's
Gotcha.
One gigantic.
Hole 12 probably, yeah. Nick there with his first forehand, a little early.
Yeah, this doesn't translate as well to the camera. This hole is very downhill immediately. Yeah. And then it kind of flattens out down there, but it's just kind of a unique throw that you don't get all the time as a downhill forehand. A lot of times you want to stable up, and some of these guys are doing that and just not that comfortable with this kind of release. I know Willie was between like 4 different discs, backhand turnover. His forehand's gotten so much better.
Right.
But it's just not quite at the same level as what he can do with his backhand buzz and Challenger OS.
Yeah. Kolby looking a little wide, and it is there. Hits that left tree line. He's going to be in the fairway. Hopefully a good upshot from there. Throws lots of pigs. This is a 2020 pig, I believe. I think that's the only one that
This is really nose up, and it just caught inside here.
Yeah.
That's not how you want to start off your tournament, but there's a lot of golf left.
Definitely one of the holes that you want to score if you have the opportunity, giving this a little baby run maybe. Yeah, just short. From the super long positions, or from the longs, I guess, this is a really tough course to score on. So we see Carl giving a great bid, just a touch short.
Yeah, for this open crowd, it's kind of cool because almost every single hole, at least 10 of the holes are just like barely outside their comfortable reach. Where I think most of these guys could birdie every single hole on this course, given an entire summer.
Right.
They would check one off and then the next round birdie a couple different ones. But to shoot, 6 down would be a great score even.
Yeah, Willie there taking the first birdie on the card. There was a LP there he had to think about. Almost missed it, but he didn't want it anyway, I think.
Oh, yeah, he didn't want to mark it. This is the first hole of the tournament, so he just wasn't very proud of it. I think he did end up marking it.
Nick tapping in here. This is actually a location on the course where there's a basket for another hole just in front of them. Carl, don't forget your putt in. Oh, there you go. And there's another fairway to the right, so we kind of got to be patient and wait sometimes for people to finish out or pass by. And
yeah, this is Carl's first time playing disc golf ever, so we got to coach him through it a little bit. Thanking the cameraman for waiting.
Hey, he's just Josh did that last year in March Mayhem too. It was almost forgot his disc, but he got it in, so we're able to move on to hole 2 now. 282 feet, much trickier than it looks. Basket's located on the far left on top of the hill there. Dangerous hill for you to be in. A common play is actually not to go low where this drone is at, because that's not the way to score the 2. You need to go high up over those trees, big hyzer line. It's very tight, and definitely a bonus birdie if you get a look at it.
Yeah, the whole line is very blind, and you can't go super high and you can't go super low. It's really specific. Willie looks like he's hit this gap pretty well, but I don't think he has the right finish. Definitely giving himself a look on this elevated basket here.
Yeah.
But I think he's happy with that, but I don't think it's exactly what he wanted.
Right. Maybe a roller is a good way to attack it. It's a tough roller.
I don't like the roller because of the hill.
Yeah.
I think this is the right play. It's just really hard.
Yeah, and there's the...
Gill just sending one straight. Really common miss on this hole.
Yep.
You're trying to save yourself from what Willie did and ending up too far left, and you just send one straight the whole way.
Because there is OB on the left. It's like really hard to get to. It's that road.
I don't think the OB is really in play if you're throwing the right disc.
I mean, you'd have to like misfire to get to it and get like unlucky getting through the trees.
It'd be impressive to throw OB even if you were trying, in my opinion.
Sure. Carl showing the low line there, just stakes it wide, gets a couple skips, but unfortunately not far enough left. He's going to be behind that bush.
This is the line.
Yeah.
If you can throw like Kolby here, but you can't. So just leave him to it. And he misses a little left, but real great over the top line. He's going to do that a lot whenever the course opens up.
Little forehand's got to sit. Oh, skips off the top of the hill. He's going to leave himself with a tester putt. And that's a dangerous putt, too, because he's putting back at another death drop. There's really no safe approach. You
can't really lay up either unless you're hitting the hill in front of you, but
right.
It's kind of difficult to do if it's not something you practice. And guys like this, we've got 4 really good putters on this card here. I like all 4 of their putts, and they're going to be running all these putts
for sure.
Hopefully we don't see a 6 putt, because if it's going to happen, it's
on a hole like this. Yeah, Willie with a 2 look. He's looking aggressive. And probably like hard to commit to that.
Yeah, Willie isn't really in the elite deep circle 2 putters. He's
Kolby.
Nearing on 100% inside C1, and just that deep C2 look is just not. He really makes his disc golf money by putting it just inside the circle and hitting 25-foot putts forever and doing the work on the drives.
It's always fun to see him bang a deep one. He did one at...
He's definitely got a C2 putt, but it's not...
yeah. No, I agree, yeah.
Nick a little high, but cashing it in. We're going to see a lot of 3s on this hole, just in general. It's pretty difficult to get the 2, but it's also pretty difficult to get the 4 unless you miss your putt like Kolby did. Yeah. Kolby did play the hole correctly, but just didn't convert.
Yep, unfortunately miss on the am side there. Hole 3 now, 306 feet. This is definitely one of the attackable holes here. You definitely want a birdie here. It's a straight shot. You'll see a lot of putters and mid-ranges trying to crest over this hill and then use that downhill slope as kind of an extra stretch for their throw and try to get into the circle here. Not a lot of danger, no OB unless you're like shank it far right or left.
Yeah, Willie with the same putters he putts with. He's going to leave this one straight, and then he's going putter here like a lot of the pros will, because he just wants a straighter finish. Yeah. He's got all the power to get there with any disc in his bag. He could realistically get this in circle with every single disc in his bag, but the putter's just going to finish the straightest and not hook up and find yourself in the bushes left or right. That's really the only miss outside of this tree maybe on the right.
Mm-hmm. Nick turning this one over. It's a harp out of his hand. Must be really beat in because harps are not traditionally that flippy.
Yeah. He definitely has a really, really firm snap. He doesn't have the best arm speed, but his wrist snap is incredible, and the disc spins like nothing else out of his hand.
Looks like Carl's clubbed up to a mid-range. He's going,
he's going right at that tree. That's the only danger. Hits it.
Yep.
Kicks a little left. That'll work.
Yeah, good.
Easy tap in 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say the good news is he'll still see the basket. You might have a throw in from there, or he'll have an easy upshot for his 3. Kolby going with the forehand pig here.
I think he's afraid of throwing his putter 600 feet if he goes straight with a backhand. So he clubs down to a pig and throws forehand probably 285. Just so silly. It doesn't make sense.
He's really worked those in. I played with him before. Ooh, good bid from Carl.
Yeah, those are not new pigs in his hand.
No, they're from 2020.
But it's still hard to throw that disc that far, regardless of stability. The speed is just so slow. Great look from Nick from deep. Willie with the first real chance of a 2 on the card.
And there's this 25-footer cashing in another birdie.
That's the Willie special, is putting his putter just inside and making a long C1 putt.
Oh, Kolby just a touch low. You can see his reaction there. He's just not starting off the way he wants to, the way he knows he can. He's a great putter, rising kind of like talent in the Grand Rapids area. Hate to see him struggle at the beginning, but lots of disc golf left for him to play still.
Yeah, when he has a high release hyzer, it's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in the local scene.
He's got tied course record at Flip City with Andrew Marweed. Good putt from Nick there, and I can only imagine that it's a matter of time before he kind of challenges course record at like Brewer, because he's just course that absolutely loves big powering backhands.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that can actually get the 3 on the new par 5 there.
Yeah. Oh my!
That's one way to get it in there.
That was special, but I mean it went in.
It hit band, hit cage, and dropped it in. Never a doubt.
Never a doubt. Hole 4, 338 feet. Definitely one of the trickier holes. Pretty easy fairway to hit. You're throwing it into this open gap. Pretty windy here where the drone was. It was not quite this windy the day of the tournament. Attacking this green area is where it gets a little tricky now. You have lots of little trees that could nick you and put you in a bad spot. And we have a slanted green, which could have lots of rollaways.
Yeah, so to get under the basket, if you're like really trying to get this, it almost feels like a flex forehand, but you cannot come into the green like that. You have to throw this hyzer backhand and then hope it doesn't roll.
Willie's getting through everything. Baby ace run there, and here's that roll. Yeah, there it goes. I mean, he was 10 feet from the basket, caught that edge, and said bye.
Yeah, the easiest way to get to the green is with a low drive that's kind of left, and then you leave yourself high on the basket. But most of these guys here do not like the downhill putts, especially when it's a downhill death putt.
This looks left. This is a Firebird out of Nick's hand, and yeah, that's going to catch those late branches and keep himself short of that green. Hopefully he'll be able to get up and down from there. Carl's more of a forehand kind of guy, as far as I can tell, with my...
Yeah, he's pretty in between. He's got exposure. A great backhand for a forehand guy.
Yep. But he is
certainly not forehand only.
No, not at all.
That's the easiest place to land. That's kind of where I'm talking about. You can put your disc there every time, but the putt is just so brutal that a lot of guys elect to miss right.
Yeah.
So they can get closer to the basket with a little less consistency.
Almost missed. I was on the catch cam there. Almost missed the disc. I think that's a mid-range.
Yeah, it seems like a really comfortable.
I mean, that looked like a soft edge, and there's a tricky upshot here. Almost looks like. Oh no, it is a harp in his hand.
Harp as well. Yep.
Yeah, just probably a little more stable than that white one he had. And
that's not a good tree kick. It's going to kick the disc up, but really lucky to curl up.
Yeah.
The overstable discs are likely to curl up, but then if they don't, they're going to roll the farthest. Easy downhill putt from Carl.
Just like you wrote it up, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the easiest way to play the hole for a 2, but it's just so treacherous because it puts the 5 and 6 into play.
Willie not able to convert that putt. You can always tell when he thinks that he should have made that putt because he does that little jump. Nick with a great 3 save. Kolby here with a fantastic drive.
Yeah, that's perfect. He missed a little high on his drive, but the miss high is kind of great because there's so much foliage up there that you're very, very likely to hit something and drop it really easy.
Yeah, and that hill probably will, like any counter skip or like little skips or rolls at all will go in that direction too. Hole 5 now, 352 feet. This is a forehand dominant hole, I would say. A lot of backhands as well with a mid-range. It does play downhill a little bit overall, but you just got to cut this corner here, try to poke through the tree, that tree line, that corner there, and see how close you can get it.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of guys throw forehands really hard and a little high, a little nose up, and then just try to hit the gap as flat as possible. A little nose up. Carl, a little lower than I would prefer, but that's an okay skip, and he'll give himself a look at the 2. But he hit a really great left to right line, just a little low. You definitely can't go too high. It's not a sky hyzer because there's so much foliage up there, but Kolby really hitting the line perfect here. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Coming up a little short, maybe just outside circle.
Willie here going with the forehand, it looks like.
Willie's got to go forehand here, I think. It's definitely in between, but I don't think he can park it backhand, and I think he's finally got the forehand power to get all the way there. I don't know what he's throwing, though.
That's a force.
Is it really?
Yeah. And it looks like he just threw it inside and never gave it a real shot to...
Yeah, Willie might need a little less stability there to push it all the way, but I think he can get a force all the way there.
I'm not sure what this is from Nick. Probably a destroyer, if I had to guess. Oh, yeah, that's great. I mean, that's the shot, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Just a nose-up forehand hitting the gap.
Decent bid from Willie there.
Yeah, that's definitely a deep putt. It's not that difficult to really get yourself within C2 here, but this uphill putt is so difficult to really convert from deep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a hard hole to park. For a lot of fields, everyone's going to be taking a 3 here. It seems to be the case with the missed putt from Carl there, or from Kolby there. He had the best drive out of the group.
Nick had the best drive.
Nick's great. Nick's was perfect. I forgot about it. His drive felt like an upshot.
He's able to convert that. Good baskets to have a firm putt on. They don't like very soft putts. Super proud of Willie, too, having his mini. I don't think he loses it the whole round.
He checked for it about 4 or 5 times.
If you ever play with Willie, that's a common theme. He's got to find his mini somewhere.
I have no idea where it is. And it's always in the same pocket.
Super funny. All right, off to hole 6 now. 404 feet. This is our first par 4 of the course. The line the drone is taking is the traditional line. You want to throw a forehand or a backhand turnover here into this landing zone, this fairway. And then from there, you have an upshot to the basket in the long position here. Slanted green again, which is a difficult attackable position here, but you're looking to just get it probably just a bit short in order to give yourself a putt at it. This is probably a true par 4 today just because of the wind coming off the lake.
Yeah, so Nick's got an elite level forehand. He misses a little high here, but penetrates almost all the way up. Mm-hmm. He can definitely get a 2 on here. There's a lot of people have gotten 2s on this hole. I don't think it's that difficult. As far as just the line and the distance, there's stuff in your way. You're not going to get a 2 all the time, for sure. But it's definitely doable. The green is just so treacherous, though, because if you miss your putt on this green, you could go 100 long, and 100 long is also 80 down. And then the wind, there's no wind up to this point on the course, but then there's a lake you can kind of see in the distance off the tee here, and as well as on the green. The wind's probably, I don't know what the speed is, but it feels like it's 45 miles an hour coming off the lake up towards the basket. And you don't notice it until you're right on the green, and you need to be 10 feet away, or it's really hard to commit on that putt.
Yeah. Willie throwing the forehand here as well with that force again, and that's a pretty good position. I think you want to be a little more right or center into the fairway there. Our left, his right. Looks like we got James Conrad AVR here.
Yeah, he's trying to land where Carl is. Carl's in a great, not necessarily layup position, but he didn't really try to park it. That's where you want. That's the landing zone. That's where you want to be if you're playing this for 3.
Willie a little more open than I remember.
He's just further up than I think you thought he was off the tee.
That's probably true. And that's a great upshot. Just a touch short. Didn't put the hill in play. Got himself a easy birdie look. And by easy, I mean he's got a good birdie look.
This is such an insane run and a great catch.
Holy smokes! That, like you said, 100 feet. If that doesn't catch that branch there. Nick with his upshot. This looks turned over. Kisses a tree.
I think he did turn it over on purpose there. He doesn't want to roll away. I think he just wants to curl up like that. Like he wants to land. Wow. Just a kiss on Annie and have the doesn't spin. Comes in. Whoa. Carl with a extremely aggressive run into the straight headwind.
Hits that branch, and Nick did put that nose up just enough for it to just sail.
There you go. You can see the leaves now. I mean, it's probably a 30-mile-an-hour wind if I had to actually guess.
Yeah.
kind of a tester for his 3-putt there. But
Yeah.
he does finish the bogey 5. Okay score on this hole. It wasn't what he wanted, but it didn't quite get away from him like it absolutely can.
Yeah.
If there's going to be an 8 or a 9 on this course, it's going to be on this hole for sure.
Willie with a great birdie there. Really textbook, just playing this hole. Carl really played the hole well too, just unfortunate with the branch and the lift there from the wind, and it just kind of put him in a bad place to be able to save the par. But everyone getting 2 strokes on him as they get
some
ready.
textbook 3s here. That hole does not play that easy. They're going to be taking strokes on the field.
For sure, that hole specifically played just a little over par, and they were all 3 of the birdies. There's those. Hole 7 now, 411 feet, slightly longer, plays way uphill. I think if you're going to take a huge number, this is the other hole that could happen if you get yourself in a really bad spot. That line in the middle of the fairway is just so dangerous for discs to just like go into no man's land. There's no OB, but the course plays very similar to like Oshmo, where you get natural OB by kicking far enough left or right. And so they're just trying to get into the fairway. If they give themselves a putt, great, but fairway for an easy upshot 3 is fine. And you can see there, Nick doesn't quite penetrate through that gap, and he's got himself a interesting upshot.
Yeah, the tough part about this hole is it's not quite attackable. Kolby with a great line here. He's going left gap, turnover. Catches a little bit of foliage, then ends up way left. I mean, these guys are attacking it for the 2, but they're just not going to get it a reasonable percentage of the time. Willie turning his, looks like an Undertaker way over.
Yep, and that's the bad kick.
My issue with this hole is you can't make a decision to lay up unless you go forehand, which we are seeing Carl go here. There's a left gap, like super hyzer layup route. He's not doing that, though. He's going right up the gut and trying to just jam his disc into the ground.
Yeah, and he hits one of those early trees, and he's way low and right as well.
But the layup here is just as difficult as the drive, so
yeah.
All these guys just think might as well go for it.
He's trying to turn something over, doesn't quite get enough. He's going to be on the other wood line there, but from there he should be able to get up and down for a bogey. That's the other thing, too. They left this as a par 3 rather than a par 4, which I think is fine.
It's in between. It's a hard par 3.
Definitely played closer to a par 4 in this round, averaging 3.86. And I think that's just because people...
Well, there's still the tailwind coming off that last hole 6's basket.
Yeah.
And it's blowing straight tailwind, so it just puts a question into your mind of, what should I throw? It's probably the same disc you were going to do originally, but
here's
it's
Nick
not
with
that easy.
Great upshot from Nick there. And if you're looking at this hole and you're thinking it looks a little familiar, it's probably because Scott Stokely made a short video about it, showing the great pavilion that's on the backside of this hole.
Oh, yeah, there is a cool pavilion.
Yeah, it's really cool. And little walking path behind it. Willie throws an upshot there. I think I couldn't find it in the footage. I know we recorded it, but I couldn't find it. There was an upshot through the woods. He went through the backside of the woods, stayed in the woods. So that was a second shot out of the woods, so he's going to be putting for bogey. Up there on top of the hill. Kolby trying to save his par, a little too high. Good run though, good effort. Here's Willie.
Oh no!
Dinks it. That's uncharacteristic for Willie. He's
100%.
Usually very, very good at that distance. Kolby taps in his par.
That was about
Oh, I'm sorry,
Those
you were right.
is,
My brain was.
It feels like a par 4 almost. It's definitely an in-betweener. It's just an impossible par 3. But Nick really showed us how to play this hole for the 3, where you try to get a 2 and then just have an easy scramble.
Mm-hmm. No birdies recorded in the first round on this hole, which isn't super surprising. It's definitely one of the bonus birdies of this particular course, harder to score on, which is the common theme when you play from the longs here at Hammond Hill. As we head into hole 8 now, 280 feet.
This hole's silly.
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys, didn't like this hole particularly because it's such a interesting hole to play. It's a dog leg, almost a U-shaped horseshoe left into this gap. There's really no way to attack it other than to throw a purposeful miss shot.
Yeah, you want to like stall a not that overstable driver way up. So Nick's gonna try it with his Firebird here, and he does hit the gap okay. He catches some foliage, but when that thing dives, it's going to dive really easy. Mm-hmm. So I'd really like to see him throw a less stable disc. Here's a mid or maybe an ABRX3.
Yeah, I think it's a putter.
Yeah, so that's going to fade a little farther and not as steep.
Yeah.
I really think that's the play here. I'm not sure if these guys
gave himself a look.
Willie with he's got a Buzz OS and a Zone that look both like exactly like this. Similar mold though, so it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, and Willie really perfect shot. Like, that's the perfect line, but because there's guardian trees up high, he just gets caught up and left, circle too short. Carl showing us the low line as well, and
that's the easy miss when you throw low like that, is you can't stall it. And this hole's so short. I mean, the gap is probably 230 feet off the tee, which, I mean, these guys could just about jump putt that far, especially downhill.
Right.
And so it's so hard to choke up the distance, and that's where the difficulty comes in.
I was not ready for Nick to throw that side of the bush. I was looking on the other side, and when it came out across the bush, he was giving it a decent run. Good upshot from Nick. Also, decent run from Carl there.
I think Carl was happy with where he landed, taking that low line. He's guaranteeing himself in the fairway and just giving himself a look from 50 or 60.
Another one from Willie. He's just like off his line right now, putting wise.
Yeah, Willie has definitely not been practicing as much as he would have liked to lately. I talked to him recently. He said life's getting a little in the way, but he's still got that bicycle riding practice. As in it's never gets that hard. You never really lose it, but he's just not as sharp as we've seen him in the past.
Yeah, that he wants to be. And now he's got a tricky putt here underneath the bush.
Uphill spin putt. Not that Willie practices that often, but he cashes it in. Wasn't super deep. He's going to be happy to make all of his comebackers so far on his putts.
Yeah. Carl taps in, and we got Nick tapping in. This is a good save from Nick.
I want to know where Nick gets his sleeveless hoodies, or short sleeve hoodies.
That's a good question.
He's got a couple of them.
He does. You are correct. Hole 9 now. Par 3, 410 feet. Another hole that is kind of a tweener for par. I think it is a par 3 as well. Bigger arms are going to be able to attack this gap. You just go straight up the gap. I think the higher you go is not good, personally. I think you want to be like middle to lower. Use the ground action to kind of skip up into the circle. But you'll see a lot of guys try to go up. Flex shot, I would say the safer line is to end up a little more right than left.
The nice part about this hole is that it does have a really, really guarded green. Mm-hmm. And then so when you inevitably do miss your drive or just kind of end up a little short like Nick is here, he didn't really miss.
Right.
But even the guys that can push 400 feet dead straight, which is really the hard part about this hole, is not the distance, it's the line. Kolby missing a little high here.
Yeah, and this
on that dead straight line, but it's just going to stall out.
Yeah. Circle 2.
Himself left. But when you do end up short like Nick is, you're not going to be losing strokes to Kolby because he can't run the 40-foot putt as well as he would like to.
It's not as open.
There's going to be a ton of threes on this hole as long as you don't end yourself way left or way right. Willie missing a little high too. I don't know if these guys are attempting to throw that high to get that sort of distance.
Because it is uphill.
You can't really get that far.
Right.
I think it's a little bit of both. They're aiming a little bit high and then missing a little bit higher.
Right. Because this is high as well.
Yeah, I think this is outside of Carl's range as far as throwing a straight shot 410 feet.
Sure.
And so he's
uphill.
Forced to throw that high.
Right.
And then I think they're all comfortable with their upshot anyways, so there's no real downside. I think they're just trying to get lucky.
He was very aggressive with that.
Yeah.
That throw. Got a kind of a lucky break there with that bush stayed in front of it. This is a zone from Willie. I was talking to John Perry about that, and he kicks an early tree. Willie just not quite
He's not dialed in like we've seen him in the
not
past.
where he wants to be right now. Nick here with his upshot. This is another harp. I thought that was going to hit the tree for sure when it came out of his hand, but good upshot from him. He knows what he's doing. Willie to save his par here.
What a great bid from there.
Stop rolling. Center line, center pole, just a touch too low. He's going to have a little bit of a tester there, but I think Willie will get that. And like you said, here's Kolby now, probably 40 feet.
This isn't the perfect drive, but it's a great drive.
Yeah, and he's just, oh, bang.
He does cash it in, but that putt is not easy.
No.
That's so crazy. That's a great 2 from him. He's going to be stealing strokes on everybody.
Yeah, he is one of 2 people with birdies in round 1 for this hole. Carl with a great save there. Little kneeler.
I think there's going to be a lot of threes like Carl as well.
Yeah.
Where they get a little outside of their comfort zone, getting aggressive off the tee. They kick, but they kind of get lucky on the kick, and then they just throw an easy upshot. Carl got a little lucky to get his upshot where he did, but I don't think it was too different.
Yeah.
Great tap in par from Nick, too. He played the exact same way.
Right.
Really aggressive, got a little unlucky, easy upshot, tap in.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Nick leading the card right now at Nick 2. Willie 1 stroke behind Nick 1. Kind of struggled there at the end. Carl at +1 and Kolby at even. Really good job from Kolby because he started off with 2 bogeys there.
I'm not that difficult.
Right. So he did a nice job. Got a bonus birdie on 9 there. And we've got ourselves the first 9 of round 1 in the books. And thanks to our Patreon supporters. And we'll see you guys on the next 9.